How would you feel? Your kids playing outside, knowing there's something behind the trees watching them, silently stalking them. You didn't even know it was going to be the last day you're going to be able to see your kids. Listen to this. Today's story is going to be a little different. As you can see, we're in a little bit of a different scenery. So we're just outside. It's about the refill with the wind is like probably -5. So, but guess what today's story is going to be about? It's like no, well, kind of, but today's story comes all the way from Chile, South America, and for most people, a lot of people know about Bigfoot and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, this one's about a snow yeti that lives up in the mountains, and there is a family of 5 that they want some peace and quiet from the city, so they move up into the mountains. They're looking for a house. They find a house up in the mountains by probably 2 hours away from the city, and usually up in the mountains down there, it's always cold and it snows. So they find this house, and it's like the nearest neighbor is like maybe a 30-minute drive from them. So there's like nothing around them. And it's a pretty big house. It's like a 5-bedroom house with like 3 bathrooms and the garage. It has a barn in the back and all this. And she brings her mom. The grandma's there with them. So they move up there, and everything's normal. This guy, the dad, one day, by the nearest gas station when he's filling up, they told him, hey, you guys are the ones that moved up in that house up there. And I was like, that house is pretty old. He's like, what happened up there? And then he's just like, oh no, like something bad. And they were like, no, nothing. It's nothing bad, but you just be careful, keep your eye out. And it's just like, kind of like a little bit of fear already sets in. Yeah. Fear sets in a little bit. He's just like, I wonder what happened. And time comes around, and then starts snowing. A few weeks go by, and there's probably like 2 feet of snow. Holy crap, And the kids are, they're getting used to it. And the kids, they're playing outside, and it's the sun's going down. It's getting kind of dark, and one of the kids is off by he's like wandering off just a little bit. He can still see his house and stuff, but he hears like knocking, like on a tree behind him, like if somebody were to take a bat and hit something.
Oh yeah.
And he turns around. He does see something, but he doesn't. He's kind of like, how you like look at something, you're like, wait, like, is that what I think it is? Or, he kind of, because everything's white. He kind of just stares for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, whatever this thing was, it kind of just moved just a little bit. And he got freaked out. The kid just ran, he just ran back to the house. The kid runs inside. He's like, Mama, Papa, there's something out there. And his parents, how parents usually are. They're like, just it's probably nothing. It's probably like an animal or something. He's like, no, but this thing it's tall. And it's like the kid was like, he was hiding. He was trying to hide behind some trees. And the dad kind of goes out, by the little playground. He's like looking. He didn't see nothing, so he just kind of brushes it off. This is where things get they start to, where this creature starts to like, kind of, there's people here, like, kind of starting to, maybe I should bother them or see who these people are. And, the kids they're showering. Their mom's about to put them to sleep. As the mom is putting them to sleep, the dad's in the garage, changes the oil on his car. And The dad hears like footsteps, but like he pauses and he hears these footsteps getting close, like coming towards him. But it's like these footsteps are like boom, boom, like they're heavy and they're like there was like this thing was huge, and he kind of looks outside and he can't see nothing. But like this his garage has like a door. You know how some garages have like a door like this one. There's like a door with glass on it. Kind of looks, but it's like kind of foggy. So he tries to clean it. He doesn't really see nothing, but in the distance he notices like a set of two red eyes glowing. Yeah. And then he's like just staring at it. He kind of froze, in shock, and all he sees is like the eyes go, like they blink. He jumps back and he's like, holy, crap, like what the heck? He runs, he gets his flashlight, and he kind of, but this thing is gone already. So he continues to do what he was doing. He was like, maybe it's my mind playing tricks on me, or it was probably a bear or something. With the red eyes? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm getting my shotgun, and he kind of finishes. He cleans up what he's doing, and he goes upstairs, and he tells his wife, like, hey, I saw something down by the hill. Like it had these glowing red eyes. And she's like, are you sure it wasn't something like behind you, like reflective or something? Or maybe a car far in the distance? And he's like, honey, the nearest house is 30 minutes away. And the driveway goes the opposite direction. And she's like, well, it could have been anything. And he's like, it's dark and it's late. We should get to bed. And so, they go to bed. A noise wakes up the dad at about 4 a.m. And he looks out his window and he sees footprints. And these footprints are like, they're like, well, like a foot and a half long. And he's like, honey, wake up. Look, listen, look at this. Look outside, and they're like, they start like panicking a little bit. And they're like, maybe this, whatever this is, it doesn't, maybe it's just, looking, it's just passing by or whatever. So they don't think nothing of it. But he was like, well, honey, I heard something tapping on the window. Like, like going, dee, dee, dee. And, he's like, it's too early for this, let's just go to bed. So I'm like, if that was me, bro, I wouldn't have just like brushed it off. But they go to bed, they wake up like at 8. It's a normal day. Mom is making breakfast and the kids are about to go outside, but this time the dad goes out there with him because, he's like, no, something's not right, something's off, And as he's like fixing something beside the little playground they have, he notices that one of the boys is gone. And, he starts yelling for him. He's like, Jimmy. And he starts freaking out. He tells his other kid to go inside. He calls his wife, and she's like, we gotta find him. Hurry. He grabs his gun, and they start, looking for him. And he's walking for like 15 minutes, and he's yelling for this kid. And when he sees this kid, he's standing right there. He's standing right, in the middle of the woods, just looking up at some trees. And this kid looks at him, and he just tells him, like, Daddy, he told me to come out here. He kind of like, I guess this thing kind of, when he saw it, this creature looked at him and kind of like told him, like, come here, like kind of waved at him like this, like he was like, Daddy, he doesn't want to hurt us. And his dad's just like, what are you talking about, sweetie? He's like, it's up there in the trees. And the kid's just like, or the dad's just like, what? He looks up in the trees and there's nothing there. And the kid looks back up there too. He's like, Daddy, it was there. It's gone now. And this is getting intense now, And the dad is just like, you guys need to come back inside. Whatever this thing is, it's not, obviously he doesn't want to do nothing with the parents. He wants like a small meat. Yeah. You know, like fair, like a little lunchable. And they go back inside. They lock all the doors, and they kind of they went to the nearest what is it, like the nearest town where they had they wanted to know what exactly happened in that house. So they go to the library, and they go to the public records, and apparently in that house there had been a family of 8. You know how it's an old house, you know, back then, you know, parents were, you know, popping kids left and right. And this family had lost 4 of their kids, disappeared. None, they don't know what happened to them, you know. And don't worry, we're outside. It's the little chimes. And they went to the police station, and they were like, you know, like there's something bothering us, you know, can we have somebody go check it out? They went out there. They sent 2 squad cars out there. They basically checked the whole perimeter. They walked with some dogs, and they said, there's nothing here. We checked everything. And did you hear that?
Yeah, it did. Sound like a crunch, right?
Yeah. Anyways,
2 of them. I heard 2 crunches.
okay. Where were we? Oh yeah, they checked the whole perimeter. They said, you know, ma'am, sir, there's nothing here. We checked everything. There's no sign of any, not even any animals or deer. There's no tracks. And he was like, you know, I saw tracks. And he was like, look right here by where, you know, where my bedroom is. Let's go look at them. So they went outside. The tracks weren't there. And he was like, I literally saw tracks in the morning. He was like, well, sir, maybe it's just you know, you guys are getting used to this place, and you're kind of scared that you're far away from town. You're near nobody. And he was like, well, you know, there's people that were here. Maybe you guys know about it, but there was 3 kids that disappeared.
4.
Or 4, yeah. 4 kids that disappeared. And he was like, you guys, how long you guys been working in this for this town? They were like, long enough to know that you're okay. And he's just like, yeah, there's no freaking way, dude. So the cops leave. You know, they're about to get ready for bed. And as they're getting ready for bed, they hear a big, loud bang in the backyard again, by the shed or by the barn. And the dad is just like, honey, grab the kids and go to our room, you know, and hide, get in the closet, do whatever you have to do. Guy grabs his gun. He goes out there. And he starts yelling, you know, like, you know, whatever the hell you wore, you need to stay away from us. I will kill you. You know. Yeah, I mean that's for something like that. You know, he goes out to the barn. He opens it. He checks it, and there's nothing there. He starts walking around, and all the wood that he had cut up is like thrown everywhere. Like, you know, whatever this is messing with him now.
Yeah.
And he leaves, and he's like, you know, after this, I'm gonna go back to the house. And when he gets back to the house, he just tells, you know, his wife, like, you know, let's all sleep together. So I'll go down to the living room, you know, take some mattresses and put them down there. We're all gonna sleep down in the living room today. And the grandma, she kind of, like, you know, blesses the house. You know how grandmas are. She blesses the house, and she kind of opens the door. And she's like, you know, nothing evil can come in here. They go to sleep. It's about 3 a.m. and he hears another loud bang out by the shed. But this time he's like, you know, I'm not gonna pay attention to it this time. So his wife is just like, honey, are you sure you don't want to, you know, check? He's like, you know, nothing's in here. We're okay. So the next day comes, and you know, everything's kind of cooled down. You know, everything's chill. Another day goes by. Everything's kind of calm. This point, it's like another a month that passes by, and his wife is like, maybe whatever this was is left. A few months pass by, and it's now been 6 months since anything's happened, and they don't think nothing of it. The kids are playing outside, and it's starting to get dark. The mom checks on them, and then everybody's okay. And this time, two of the kids they're out there by the trees, and one is on the swing. And they kind of hear some large footsteps again, but like a little bit in the distance. They pause and they freeze, and they kind of like look around. They don't see nobody, but this time it's not one pair of footsteps. It's like if it's like two people. And they hear the trees kind of ruffling, which whatever this thing is, it's huge. And the kids see like these hands that are reaching around the trees. And then after that, it's just like nobody hears about the kids no more. The dad and the mom come out, and they're like, kids, we gotta go inside. Dinner's ready. And they're like, wait. He's like, he tells the smaller kid, and he's like, hey, where are you? Where's your brother and your sister? He's like, he just points out. He's like, out into the woods. And it's like, oh God, like no. The dad goes inside. The mom runs off into the woods. The dad goes inside. He grabs his gun. And they're like searching for this kid. It's like 10 minutes passes by, and they're like starting to freak out. They can't find him. The mom runs back to the house. She calls the cops. The cops are like, it's going to be a minute till we get out to your house. You guys are basically like, you guys are far. And the dad is just freaking out, running everywhere. 30 minutes pass by. He comes across this tree. Well, it's like it's multiple trees that are broken. And he sees blood. And he just kind of starts following this blood. And there's huge footsteps like the ones he had seen outside his window. These footsteps and blood, all of a sudden, just he's following them. As he's following them, they just start dissipating. And then they're gone. Just disappeared. And he's looking everywhere. He doesn't see nothing. He looks up at the trees, and he can't find nothing. And the kids are gone. Cops show up, an hour, 2 hours later. And, they bring, they radio back to the station, and they bring a whole squad. They got dogs. They got like 20 people out there looking for the kids, and nothing. They search within a mile radius, and nothing. The two kids are gone. After that, the next day, the mom and the dad are just like, we're not going to stay in this house. They end up selling it, and they move back into town because, that just completely destroyed them. And they disappeared. You didn't hear? The kids disappeared, and no trace of them anywhere. And that case just stayed open. Nobody ever saw them again. If it was day one and my kids said, if I saw one of my kids out there in the woods, I'd be like, hell no, we're leaving.
Yeah, we're moving again.
And I thought the Yeti was like, well, you know how Bigfoot, like they only see him, and I thought it was like in certain spots where they would see him. It's everywhere.
I see him everywhere.
That's crazy, isn't it? You know how they say Bigfoot is a mystical creature, like he can teleport.
Really?
So no, or yeah, I think it's something like that.
There's multiple of them. Like there's not just one.
But you don't think it's weird how like we're
disappears after you see him.
Yeah.
He's like a.
I think he's like a mystical creature. I don't know. I I haven't heard a lot of stories about the. This is like one of the first stories I
A
see.
Yeti? Are Yetis a thing? They're like.
Well, the Bigfoot and Yeti are like kind of they considered the same thing.
Mhm.
I just call it a snow Yeti just to distinguish them.
I thought Yetis were real. I thought they were actually like big, not monsters, just animals, just big like bears basically,
Oh
just chilling in the mountains. You know,
nah, dude.
but Yetis are actual like standing on 2 feet. Like nobody ever sees them. If they do, it's like some horror story about them stalking them or something like that. Just like
Yeah.
Bigfoot. But
Uh, I thought I'll look into it more. Maybe we can do another video on Yetis
mm,
because I think this is oh when I was working at the Sheraton, there
mm.
was this older guy named Vernon. Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
But his name was Vernon, and he was like 65, and he lived out in McMinnville. You know where McMinnville's
Yeah,
at?
yeah.
Where the waterfalls are at. He said that he's seen Bigfoot, but he was like he had a family, a wife, and a kid.
What the
I
heck?
swear, I know, right? But he was like, yeah, man. He was like, it looked like a bear standing on 2 feet. He was like, he was about 9 foot tall, and he was like, he could literally just walk over a fence. And I was like, I mean,
Dude,
uh,
that's tall. That's tall. Dude, that's like
that's
tall as a house.
that's like a 5 foot. That's like a 10 foot tall person.
Yeah. That's what confuses me. I'm like, no one's ever gotten him on video, and if it is, it's super distorted or super like it's like when he knows it when it's a good time to show himself.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
you know, you don't find it weird. Well, I haven't heard of it nothing anymore. You don't find it weird that back then they used to talk about him a lot,
Yeah,
and now it's just
and
kind of
shows and everything
we have
about
more
it.
technology now,
Yeah,
and nobody sees to catch him anymore.
like people. I remember there's one show called Finding Bigfoot. I don't know
Mm.
if you remember
Oh
that, where
yeah, I love
were
that show.
investigators
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they would go into towns and hear people's stories about them seeing him.
And then they would go
And they
wherever
would
that.
go, and there have been times where they've quote unquote almost like got him on camera and thermal, but it
Yeah.
ends up being just an animal. So I'm like, what the heck? Can he morph or something? Like,
There's this one. There is this one. I don't know where they're at. I think they're like in Pennsylvania.
uh,
They're. I think they did catch him that time, but they didn't. They weren't able to record him because he was so far away. It was this Native American guy that spotted him. They were like on a ridge in this wherever they were staying.
mm,
They were on the back porch was like looking over the ridge. And you
mm,
could see out into the valley.
yeah,
And the Native American was like, "Do you smell that?" And I guess he said it smelled like almost like sewer.
uh,
And he's like, it's a Yeti. And he's like, it's Bigfoot. And I'm like, how did he do that?
yeah,
And he looks way off, dude. This is like freaking 3 miles away. He spots something
moving,
out in the field moving. But once they started zooming in, I'm like, this thing is tall.
yeah,
And I will look at it right now.
mm,
Um, they were able to record it and a little bit.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
look at the video. But after that, I think they went to go chase it down and they couldn't find it.
Couldn't find
That's
it.
what sucks. But
And the creepy thing about that story that you told is how big it is. Like you know how big the feet were. What you said, a foot and a half.
yeah, foot and a half.
It's crazy how big these creatures can be, but they won't go into homes. Like they can tear a house down
Oh,
basically.
you see what a
But
freaking bear can do?
see, you tear a car apart. They like to like mess with you first. They play with your mind.
I think
They
that's
they
what it
try
is.
to they try to get you vulnerable,
Yeah.
especially the kids. Now that the Yeti, he got the kids. That's really weird because if you think about it,
Well, they
it's
play with
like
their food.
they play with their food, and it's like how they go, like how far they'll go to get the kids to trust them, and then just snatch them
Yeah,
once
yeah.
once they're just out there.
I don't
They're
know
just
what I'd
trying to
do if
get
I
you.
lost kids and never found them again.
It's it's so weird, and then just footsteps just disappear. It's like, is this thing a monster
Yeah,
or is it a paranormal?
yeah.
It's so
That's a
weird. Like I don't know why, but when you were telling me how the footsteps just started to disappear, I thought you were gonna be like the footsteps started turning into human feet. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, you know the all the documentaries and stuff. That's usually what happens in documentaries. They just disappear, and that's
I'm
insane.
like, what? Do they have wings or something? Like, oh,
It's Jeepers Creepers, bro. I'm just kidding.
Jeepers Creepers.
If you like this episode, make sure you check out my links down below. It helps a lot when you subscribe and you listen to my channel. I really appreciate it. And just remember, if you hear something out in the woods, it was probably nothing. But make sure you lock your doors and your window. And don't go looking for things you can't see.